Hello everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. I have not done a video in a little while now. I've just been so busy. I transferred to a new Kroger, much closer to where I live now. It's a 5-minute drive instead of like a 25-minute drive. So that's been very helpful in helping me save on gas. I've still been doing research, but I haven't really written any new notes to do any new videos on here. I've just been trying to keep up with my practices and just enjoying life and living in the present moment. I have been doing some research, though, some personal research, which I'll probably get into a little bit in this video. I've been researching just a little bit from different YouTube videos, and I can't remember the two YouTube channels that I've been watching videos from off the top of my head. I'll have to include that in the comments if you want to know what that is, what the channel is, or I'll talk about it in later videos. But I've been watching some left-hand path stuff, like especially like the philosophy of the left-hand path, and how when you reconcile that with the right-hand path, you kind of follow what's more known as the middle path. I guess that's what I'll go ahead and talk about in this video, because I didn't have anything super special planned for this video. I'm just really proud about this channel because we have reached over 300 subscribers now. I think we have 302 or 303 subscribers. And also the channel has over 10,000 views altogether, so that's really cool. That's kind of like that's definitely an important milestone for this YouTube channel. So, for those of you who have been following the channel, thank you for doing that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking any of the videos that you've liked. Thanks simply for watching. And hopefully you can go out into the world and share this information with people who are like-minded, people who are hungry for this knowledge. And on this channel, we've mostly talked about ceremonial magic, a little bit about Freemasonry, the Kabbalah, all these different subjects. So let's go ahead and talk about some more basic principles. Let's talk about the light and the dark, and the right-hand path versus the left-hand path, and what the middle path is, and how these all relate on the tree of life. Actually, I'm going to run real quick and go grab a diagram, because that's probably going to come in useful for this video. I will be right back. Alrighty, here we are. Symbolically, on the tree of life, it's not typically considered this way, but we could view, we've got Yakin and Boaz, or Hokmah and Bina. This could be symbolic of the right-hand path, we'll say, and then this could be more the left-hand path energies. Because on this side, you've got wisdom, mercy, and victory. The two you want to look at the most, though, that really seem to be like the polarities, to me, is the mercy and the severity. Because, yeah, victory and splendor, yeah, they don't so much seem like opposites. Wisdom and understanding don't seem so much like opposites, but severity and mercy are definitely kind of like two polarities here. So the left-hand path, is kind of more reflected in this, whereas the right-hand path is more reflected on the left-hand pillar. And then the path of mildness, it's also called the three pillars are wisdom, beauty, and understanding, I believe. Wisdom, strength, and beauty. But they are also wisdom, understanding, and the middle pillar is the pillar of mildness. That's right. So the middle path is represented by mildness. If we refer to Manly P. Hall's, the beginning of that chapter, the three columns are called mercy on the right, severity on the left, and between them, mildness as the reconciling power. So that's kind of what the middle path does. It reconciles the left-hand path and the right-hand path, because to a certain degree, even if you look at like Satanists, it's just the other side of the coin. You know, it's like it's just polarized in the opposite direction. So it's polarized as well. It gets, you know, any ideology can get stuck up in its doctrines and stuff, which kind of ultimately holds it back. This is why, and take into account that I'm not saying anything against any path. I'm just saying that everything, even like the Saint Germain stuff, a lot of the right-hand path stuff, everything has its strengths or weaknesses, or it just has its places of focus. That field or that mystery school background just tends to focus more on these aspects of divinity, whereas, you know, the left-hand path is going to, you know, focus more on the darker aspects of divinity. It's different degrees of existence, different degrees of spirituality, but it all comes from the same original force, which is how we kind of hermetically come to understand it. And this source has all varying degrees of existence. And by studying the different component parts, that's how we come to a better understanding of light versus dark, you know, left-hand path versus right-hand path. I have done a couple videos on Facebook about talking about Star Wars and like the Sith and the Jedi. That's a really good analogy to use when you're describing the light side and the dark side. You know, the Sith, they're very fierce. They say that, you know, the Jedi says to maintain peace at all times, you know, don't let the passions overrule. But then the Sith, they say, use the passions to feed yourself and give yourself strength. And through that strength, you know, you gain victory and such. And, you know, peace is a lie, there is only passion. I can't remember the whole Sith code, but that's a couple aspects of the Sith code. And then there's the Jedi code, which is all about peace and, you know, really following certain rules about temperance and stuff. And it's very akin to a lot of knighthood type stuff, you know, where back in the day, like the Templars, for instance, maybe like they would have to take a vow of chastity of a certain kind. It's like the same idea with the Jedi, like you take this vow to go into this order, and you're not supposed to let your passions or your emotions take over. And that's what happens in the story with Anakin as Darth Vader. He ends up falling in love with Padme, and they get married secretly, and he ends up having dreams that she's going to die, and he ends up letting the fear of losing her consumes him to the point where he actually turns to the dark side, and he is kind of the cause of her death. It's a really tragic story, but Star Wars is a great saga for understanding these principles. The Darth Vader story and, you know, the traditional movies, episodes, I guess it would really be episodes 1 through 6, and then the stories kind of continued in the new Disney ones, 7 through 9. Good movies still, but I don't like them as much as the original trilogy. I think all the movies have their good aspects about them. But the whole Darth Vader story, and then Darth Revan is actually one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars saga. He's kind of more a part of the expanded universe. He was around like 4,000 years before the events of the movies, and he's very much a gray Jedi. Like there's parts where he in his life story where he's a Jedi, you know, he's very much light side, and then something happens to him in his life and he needs to channel more of the dark side. So he's kind of been on both poles. You know, he's been light side and dark side. So Darth Revan's story is very interesting as well. Yeah, the left-hand path is very empowering. You know, it's all about like taking control of yourself, you know, pushing yourself, using really moments of trial, you know, really trial to overcome and become stronger. Whereas a lot of right-hand path stuff, I'm not saying there's strength is not needed. It's definitely not true. true mastery of self and, temperance and all that, but it's a much more, I feel like the right-hand path is much more about humbling yourself and, and just allowing yourself to come back into source, whereas the left-hand path, yes, it is more ego-based, but it also teaches you about yourself too. I'd say it's a little more physical-based, whereas the right-hand path is more energetic or spiritual-based. I would consider like any of the Christ consciousness stuff or like the Saint Germain stuff, that's definitely more right-hand path. Whereas, like Satanism, which for me personally, I take tidbits from more of the left-hand path stuff, and I'm more of a middle pather. I consider myself more of a gray magician, from a philosophical standpoint. As far as magic, I typically just only do white magic, which is like banishing, middle pillar stuff, lesser banishing ritual with the hexagram, and not so much trying to make changes in any other way. I do meditation for more of spiritual sustenance. I'm trying to align myself with source in that way. So I take care of myself, and then my outer reflection in the universe that I experience becomes better. Basically, when you work on yourself, I think that's an aspect of the left and the right-hand path, is when you work on yourself, you ultimately become better and stronger. So, I'm not sure if there was anything else I really wanted to cover in this video. I just wanted to talk about how awesome it is that this YouTube channel has come this far. A little bit about the left and the right-hand path. I think really the best thing at the end of the day, though, is you're never going to be completely, one or the other when it comes to, it's like on the video game Fable and a couple others, even Knights of the Old Republic. And that game was even coming to my mind because we were just talking about Star Wars. But your alignment, which is like this spectrum, and it's a spectrum of dark and light. So you're not like usually completely one or the other, which you can reach in the game. Like, you can be all the way up on the scale of light or all the way down to the scale of darkness. But in real life, the polarities of light and dark are so vast that really we end up being somewhere in between the two, typically. Nobody's completely light. Even if they reject their shadow, that shadow's still there. And I almost feel like you can't really fully integrate darkness until you've faced it, almost until you've gone through some kind of trial that like allows you to resurrect from that to where you're consciously evolving not only your awareness but also your DNA. You are changing the very core of your being. So at the end of the day, you want to take all of these lessons and integrate them and figure out where you are on the spectrum, the alignment of light and dark. And for most people, it falls somewhere in between. For some, it's more centered, and then for others, they veer more towards one pillar, one extreme or the other. So, just finding our place in that and trying to stay true with source and like our higher path, our true will, and knowing what's right for us, and always treating others with respect. Because really, following your true will is about following your own path and being the best you can be, and not worrying about like, stomping on anybody else or anything like that. It's your path. Don't get in the way of anybody else's true path either, and don't let anybody else, tread on your path or trample. Your path. So follow your dreams. Figure out what it is you want. Ground yourself. And consciously, move towards a place of success, peace, and vitality for yourself, and this will be reflected outwardly in your exterior universe. Your experience. We are the experiencers having the experience, as I like to tell people a lot. Infinite consciousness having an awareness, having an experience of itself in the physical form. Well, I think that is it for this video. I hope you enjoy. I will try to get more content up as soon as I can. I'm excited to jump back into the studies and do some more videos. Let me know if there's any particular topics you guys want, like if you want me to do more Archangel stuff, Divine Comedy, Dante. Let me know what appeals to you. So, peace and blessings, everybody, and take care.